So let's talk substances and spell work.
Necronomicon is coming.
So by substances, I mean anything that's mind altering, from caffeine to alcohol to nicotine to any of the other things that are illegal or might not be illegal, depending on where you live and depending on just where you go. But I really wanted to touch on this because there are tons of people that engage in things such as like having a beer, or even as part of a ritual having like the ritual wine, or even some people like they would, because I've done this, late at night you're chilling, you kind of have an idea of doing a spell, and you have like you knock back a beer or two, and then you get that energy boost, and you're like, yo, I feel like doing that right now. Like I feel so pumped. I have all this energy. I feel like I can do anything. So yeah, I'm gonna step into ritual. Now, it might put you into the right mindset to do that spell that you were thinking about. But here's my predicament with it. Any substance that you use, whether it be caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, any of those things, they are actually very grounding. And the point of working in a spiritual manner is to ascend. Now, by grounding, I mean they are things that are habit forming, and they are things that like you have that itch to go back to it, and or it just makes you feel different over time. What you will find is that you your behavior becomes such a way that you find you cannot do those visualizations. You can't build up that same amount of energy that you are used to. You can't get into that same mood or that same peak of spiritual energy without that substance, and that's dependency. Now you can get into a even if you like to have a drink or two or whatever, or do this or do that, which do whatever you want as long as it ain't against the rules, and as long as you don't hurt yourself, you know, take take whatever do crap at your own risk. But honestly, I think it really hinders anybody to use any substances in a magical manner. Even when it comes to being able to like see more, hallucinate or visualize or whatever. I have found that, I've been really, really good at visualization since I took a meditation class, since I took a stress and stress management class when I was 20. And I actually learned about meditation because I had to pick a method of relaxation and practice it for the entire class, and take notes and stuff on how it worked for me. And I found that I could like instantly pop places in Journey and whatever. And that's how I began to visualize. Now, you know, I found that when I actually, because I waited until I was 21 to drink, when I started to like, if I was chilling and I had a beer or something, then I was like, yo, I feel like meditating. Yeah, I could see more, I think because I was more relaxed or whatever. But the thing is, it made it harder for me to meditate and harder for me to visualize when I didn't have that stuff. Now that I've become a completely sober person, I do understand that it's really a hindrance. Let me give you an analogy that I was working at a couple of like maybe a month ago or something, when I was chit chatting with my wifey. But when you take a substance that alters your state of consciousness, it is like you're trying to wash a car, right? And you have a hose, and the hose will spray water. Okay, if you take a substance, that's like turning the hose on like 100, 110, 150, 200%, so the water's spraying like crazy. It's still going to hit the car, but you got it going everywhere. So you have this abundance of energy, but it's not focused. When you are sober and when you build that habit of being able to get into that own state of mind on your own, then you are able to focus that small amount of water coming out of the hose on the car rather than having to spray the crap out of it. Hopefully that analogy made sense. Basically, if you alter your state of consciousness, you are putting your entire energy system on overdrive. And yes, it can be used, but it's very difficult to focus. You are using too much energy, and you are also opening yourself up to spirits. I remember an article that I read where alcohol is known as a spirit, right? Alcohol is known as spirits. Drinks are known as spirits. In terms of tinctures and herbs, when you use alcohol and you put herbs in it, when you make tinctures, the alcohol pulls the essence or those positive qualities of the herb out. So, what do you think alcohol does to you? It pulls your spirit out. That's why a lot of people black out when they drink, because it's detaching, it's disengaging your spirit from the hold that it has on your body. And when people black out and they don't remember what they were doing, hypothetically, and skeptics will yap at me about this one, but when you black out, that's because your body goes in overdrive. And a lot of people, when they drink really heavily, the number one thing that they can get into is anger really fast. They go into those base emotions, the reptilian brain, those emotions, the fight or flight stuff. And basically you're running on autopilot, and spirits can come in that way and make you do stuff that you wouldn't normally do. And then you wake up the next morning, you're like, holy shit, I don't remember anything. But I know that one of the authors that I have, Constantinos, I have a couple of his books. He says, never waste a alternate state of mind, no matter how you got there. And what I like to say on that is, when it comes to using any substances, whether they be legal or illegal, don't bother doing it, because the journey to being able to train yourself to get into that state to use magical energy and being able to focus it, yes, it takes longer as a sober person. Yes, it takes longer to hone your mind without the assistance of different things. But sometimes the point is the journey, not the destination. You'll find that if you use things to get into that state of mind, then that's the only time that you can get into that state of mind, whether it be magically or emotionally, and then it becomes a crutch. We are spiritual beings. We are very powerful beings. We do not require crutches. We need focus, discipline, and practice with our skills so we can build those skills so we can perform magic and get it done. And we don't need those crutches. So don't let yourself become one of those people that needs something to get stuff done. I've had many friends and even family members that have become like dependent on different substances, and they go for their various things, like on a daily basis, or on a every couple of days or whatever. But moral of the story is, they need something every once in a while, and it becomes a habit, and it is very detrimental. Human beings are meant to be sober. Yes, there are plenty of cultures that have used various different things, like the Sumerians, for example, and it's even referenced in the Necronomicon in the Testimony of the Man Arab Part 1. It says that he built a fire with the assistance of a strange grass. And that strange grass, through the research that I've done, was called azala, and it happened to be cannabis. And hypothetically, if my attribution is true, from the strange grass to cannabis, and he burnt it in a fire, well, if you're burning a truckload of cannabis in a fire, and you're near that smoke, you're gonna get toasted. And after he had that fire, that's when he fell asleep. He woke up, and then he had the vision of the cultists and the rock floating and stuff. So yes, it does open doors for you, and you can have a spiritual experience with a substance like that, but there's plenty of people that are 100% sober, never touched anything, and they are fantastic magical practitioners. And honestly, I think those are the more powerful people, because they don't have that crutch. So I wouldn't use it if I were you. I do not advocate for the use of different substances when it comes to performing spiritual practices, or doing different or engaging in certain things, like even ayahuasca retreats and stuff like that. People can what those substances do is it changes your viewpoint. It gives you a different perspective on what's going on inside of you, and it allows you to look at things a different way, and it opens up different doors for you. Like, for some people that have a hard time visualizing, it helps them to visualize. But you could get better at visualizing just by practicing. And a lot of things, especially in American culture, is like that, dude, I want this right now. The instant gratification stuff, especially with this latest generation, which is kind of ridiculous. That everybody gets a trophy, instant gratification, blah blah blah. The very reason why you have that little skip ad button on YouTube, because people can't stand to sit through a 15-20 second ad because they're not patient. Well, the real gifts in life come from hard work and patience. And substances and using those things to, in a magical sense, does in the long run, it does not help you to become proficient in spirituality. That's my viewpoint on it. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Check out my other videos for Necronomicon mechanics, working with the Necro, and any of the other magical/spiritual videos that I've made. Let me know what you guys think, and good hunting.